Hello, everyone. This is Coach Clayton, and this is my Women's Empowerment Interview episode. And today we have Elisabeth and as our guest, and she's going to discuss her journey of overcoming personal and professional obstacles in her life. Hello, Elisabeth. Welcome.
Hello, Coach Clayton. It's such a pleasure to be here.
Yes. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to chat with me. I really, really appreciate it.
It's not such a busy day. It's a Saturday. And as I just mentioned to you before, I was actually lying on the sofa 5 minutes ago. We need to do that too sometimes.
I love it. I love it. So as we discussed earlier, I'm an accountability coach. I'm also certified as an abuse and addiction coach. And I just wanted to create a video podcast as a way for women to come to this podcast to be inspired each week, because we have so much going on. I want to give positivity into the world somehow, and this is my way. So yeah. So Elisabeth, your background really intrigued me. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a professional or personal obstacle that you had to overcome?
Well, I think I'm going to start from the beginning because that was my biggest obstacles. I had a tough start into life. I was born to a 16-year-old mother who couldn't have me because I'm quite old. So that was already quite a long time ago. So she was going to give me up for adoption. My father didn't want to know about me. So my grandfather took me home and I grew up with my grandparents, who were lovely, lovely people, but they were old. And when I was 10, my grandfather died. So I was on my own. I was more or less on my own. Of course, my grandmother was there, but she never knew how to drive. She was loving me a lot, but she was not really mentoring me much. So I understood from a very early age that I was on my own and I needed to fend for myself. And I did. I started working when I was 13. And cleaned hotel rooms and cleared tables in a ski lodge and started earning money because I wanted to learn foreign languages, because I wanted to leave. I was born in a small village and I was bullied at school, not only by students, but also by teachers. So I wanted to get away. And my escape plan was to become a tour guide. So, and I knew that I would need to speak foreign languages. So I did learn, my mother tongue is German. I learned French and English, and that was good enough at the beginning to start. And when I was 19, I left my village, my small place in Switzerland, and I went out in the big world and worked as a tour guide all over the world for 11 years and never looked back.
That's amazing. Amazing. Now, take me back to when you were 10 years old, okay? And the sad news that your grandfather had passed away. That's huge. That's a huge milestone in your life. How, to date, have you dealt with that internal loss?
Yes, I have, because I am an NLP practitioner and a hypnotherapist, and I did my coaching training and all my training with a fantastic trainer. And I worked a lot on my subconscious mind, because I had a lot of limiting beliefs, because at that age I was told that I will never amount to anything. Kids like me were called a bastard, probably still are by some people, but it's so I had a lot of work to do. I did a lot of work in my life, but when I have this moment in my life when I was 29, when I was working in Florida, I walked into this bookstore and I was there with a tour group, and I picked up this book by Dr. Joseph Murphy, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. Yes. And I started reading that book that night in the hotel room, and I never slept. I think I just read the whole book because I didn't know that I had a subconscious mind.
No, I love that. I love that. And I've read a lot of his material, watched a video about him as well. He's absolutely amazing. And it does start with your frame of mind, and also dealing with your internal as well. Now, for someone, how important was it for you to deal with your internal
It was very
traumatic
important.
events.
Yeah, I can tell you this. When I was a tour guide in my 20s, I had achieved what I wanted to achieve. I was working abroad. I was young and gorgeous and long-legged and, but I was so insecure. I had not dealt with all this. I was pretending to be this confident woman, and deep inside me, all I wanted was somebody to love me. And it took me a long time. I mean, in those years, I was having a good time. I cannot complain that I was having a great time. I was traveling around the world. I was spending lots of time in the disco and on the beach and this. I had a wonderful time, but I only started dealing with all these things afterwards. After I found out that I can do that, after I found out that I had a subconscious mind that was blocking me and stopping me from doing what I want. So, it's not always what it seems like. I seemed at the time like this confident woman who owned the world, and I wasn't.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. What I really can relate to is my mother had me at 17, and having a young mother, they can give you the love, but sometimes they don't have the tools. Truthfully, I love you, Mom, but they don't have the tools at that age to really mentor and direct you. So like you, I devoured a lot of self-help books. I tried to figure out a way to improve not only my inner trauma experiences, but just to be a better person. So I really can relate to that. I really can. Yeah. So tell me, so you started working, you said at 13, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
Yes,
And then you traveled around the world as a travel guide, right? Very good. Now, what advice would you give a young adult or someone that has a traumatic experience, maybe a loss of a parent, maybe abandoned by a parent? Because at that point you're blaming yourself, right? You're blaming yourself.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to them?
Look, there is one thing that I always say when somebody asks me what advice would I give to myself at a younger age. And I don't think that I would change anything, because these things make you the person that you become. Mm-hmm. So now what advice would I give somebody? Well, one thing that I would tell people is, young people, believe that it's going to be okay. It's all going to be okay. It's not as hard sometimes as it looks. And I also go by this, I don't know what it's called, 5 to 5. Like, if it's not important in 5 years, don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it. There are some, we dwell on things, we dwell on the past, we do things and we think, oh my God, I should have done this differently. Or we worry about the future that we may not even have. So what I want, enjoy your life and do stupid things, because, at the end, you will not regret the things that you did, but you will regret the things that you didn't do. Now, of course, when I say to do stupid things, don't break the law or do this, but take a risk, do something that don't worry about what other people think. That's another very, very important factor. People will always judge you. People don't know you, and so they will always judge you. So give them something to judge you for.
I love that. Yes. Give them something to judge you for, and live your life the way you want to live it, and take risks. I love that. I absolutely love that. Now, you mentioned that you're a hypnotherapist. Tell me a little, is that in your business, or tell me a little bit about your business?
Okay. When I stopped being a tour guide when I was a little bit over 30. I got married and I had 2 children. And during the time when my kids grew up, I worked as a conference interpreter for the European police. So I was traveling a lot and I was very busy. But then I started realizing that my kids were growing up, you know, they were going to go and study. And I also realized that I had so much people's experience. I had experience from the times as a tour guide, because people trust you there. They tell you their stories. People are removed from their environment. So they tell you everything that, you know, you're like their garbage can. And then, of course, also with my work for the police, I used to translate interrogations. And so I felt like I needed to use all this knowledge. I already was a tour guide, really, and I already was a life coach, but I needed tools. So I trained as a with a fantastic coaching institute, Robert Simich Institute. I went to Dubai. I live here in Cyprus, which is in the Eastern Mid. I went to Dubai and I trained as a NLP practitioner and a hypnotherapist, because hypnotherapy is a good way to get to your subconscious mind. That's where the change needs to be done. Mm-hmm. And when you manage to put somebody in trance, and I also believe that hypnosis is totally misunderstood by many people. You know, hypnosis is not what's happening on stage in Las Vegas. Hypnosis mm-hmm. is something completely different. And hypnosis is a fantastic tool to help somebody as a supportive matter. The thing is, you know, sometimes people believe that I'm going to go and see this hypnotherapist and then she's going to fix me. Yes. Nobody fixes you. That's just a supportive thing. We can only fix ourselves, but we can find a hypnotherapist or a coach or a psychologist to support us, to take us by the hand and help us go that way that we need to go.
Okay. Now, I'm very intrigued with this hypnotherapy. So how does it work? What would you say to someone that says, oh no, that's off limits. I'm completely out of control when I'm in a trance. I don't know what she's going to put in my head. Because that's a common misconception. What can you say about that?
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, first of all, we must never force anybody to do anything that they don't want to do. Yeah. But the one thing that I can say about hypnotherapy, and that's what I tell all my clients before I start, if you feel in any way uncomfortable, or because people hear everything, they are in trance, but they are not gone. You know, they hear what the hypnotherapist says. So I always tell them, if you feel uncomfortable in any way, tell me to stop. Just say stop. And it has never happened. Never happened. And I have done hypnotherapy for many, many, many people. And I always tell them the worst that can happen is that it doesn't work. The worst that can happen is that there is no difference. That is possible. You know, not everybody. I mean, there is a test that you can do. I don't know if you are familiar with the lemon test.
No, tell us.
The lemon test is a test, you know, like you tell people, close your eyes and imagine that you're going to the kitchen and you are taking out the cutting board and you are taking out a lemon from your fruit bowl. Take a knife, put the lemon on the cutting board and cut the lemon in half and watch the juices flow out, and then cut that lemon in 2 quarters and pick it up and put it in your mouth and bite in it. And I can see you now because you're swallowing, because your saliva has started flowing. So where is the lemon? The lemon is in your head, and many, many things are in our heads. So when you do this test and you actually manage to get the saliva flowing, that means that you can be hypnotized.
That is amazing. I like that, the lemon test. Now, yes, there's people out there that hypnotherapy could work for them, but they just don't understand. They don't understand the process. So this lemon test is an example of the process and how it works, right?
It is. And it's actually, you know, showing people that you can change your bodily function with your thought. Because during all this process that I told you in 2 minutes, your saliva started flowing. That's a bodily function, but there is no lemon anywhere. It's only in your head. Yes. So, and this is, unfortunately, this is what we do to ourselves, you see, because our thoughts create hormone release in our brain. When we are stressed, our brain releases adrenaline and cortisol, which is not good for us. And it's the same thing with good thoughts. You know, when we are grateful, when we are calm, then our brain releases serotonin and dopamine and makes us happy and can heal us.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, can you do self-hypnotherapy? Like, can someone in the audience like hypnotize themselves? Like, is there a process for that, or?
Well, I believe that every meditation is a small hypnosis.
Oh.
I actually believe that every deep breath is a small meditation, because when you actually consciously breathe, you are in the now. And this is where you are supposed to be, because as long as you're running around and thinking about the past and worrying about the future, you're not in the now. Yes. So but when you are take a deep breath, count your breath, maybe take a little break between your in breath and out breath. And that is a small hypnosis. Because if you want to start meditating, and you know, everybody tells you should meditate, it will calm you down, and then people start meditating, you know, they say, I'm going to start meditating, I'm going to start meditating for 20 minutes. 20 minutes is a very long time if you are not used to meditating. It is. And your mind is all over the place. So if you want to start meditating, which is the step to self-hypnosis, start with 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Set your phone, because otherwise it's going to take about 1.5 minutes until, no, even less, until the thoughts come in, everything, the shopping list, and it should have done this, and your calendar and everything. So don't expect too much from yourself at the beginning. Give yourself some slack and start slowly. And that is a way to do self-hypnosis. And you can do, you can record something on your phone. You can record your affirmations on your phone, and then you can listen to yourself, and that's a hypnosis.
I love that idea. Wow. Very, very good. Now, what is the name of your business?
I have a program called the Soul Guru Lifestyle, because I've written a book, which is called, I don't know if you can see it because of my filter, but it's called The Soul Kit.
Okay.
The Soul Kit is first aid for the soul. It's about, like the explanation is, when you cut your finger, you go to your first aid kit. What do you do when your soul hurts? So you read the Soul Kit. That's my book. And based on my book, I started a program which includes 3 sessions with me and online courses. And that's how I help, first of all, because what we need to do when we want to introduce change to our lives, we first need to take stock, and we need to see what is wrong, what's gone wrong, right? Yeah. So you find out a little bit, why is this like, sometimes we find out that there is nothing wrong. You know, sometimes we feel that we hear so many things and so much advice and everybody knows everything. And we think, oh my God, there must be something wrong with me, because, you know, we compare ourselves. So once you find out where your blockages could be, where your limiting beliefs could be, then you find them, and then we release them. There is different ways. It could be hypnotherapy, it could be a timeline method. There are all sorts of methods that we have as NLP practitioners. And then once that second step is done, once it's cleared, you set goals. You set goals, and you set realistic goals. You don't say that I'm going to make $1 million in a week, you know?
Exactly.
Because another thing that is important to know, that there is no overnight success. Overnight success is 20 years preparation.
Thank you. Absolutely. Whenever you see, especially on social media, it's like you are looking, if you see someone that's successful, if they truly are, because some people on social media don't make it seem like they are, but if they truly are successful, those are years usually of blood, sweat, and tears and pouring into their business. And now you're seeing the success. It's not overnight success at all.
No.
Yeah. And it takes a lot of
Absolutely.
sacrifice to get there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And
So,
another thing that
go
I do,
ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm also the regional director of the Global Women Club Cyprus and New York. That's a women's platform, a women's organization. And that's where we always do a lot, where we also do a lot of work with women and help them, you know, break through things and support. We need each other. We cannot do things alone.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And every human being needs someone to either support them or a support group or something. It's very hard to do it alone in life. It really is. It really is.
Yes. Yes.
So what would be your biggest takeaway or advice that you would give a woman or a man, anyone that's watching this right now? What would be your biggest piece of advice that you would give to them?
Right. So, of course, it depends very much where you are in life.
Yeah.
First of all, always know that nobody is perfect. Yeah. Always know that what you see on social media, as you were just saying, some people really pretend to be something that they are not. We are all human. Things happen to us. But I think one very important thing to understand is that we can never choose what happens. We can only choose how we want to react to what happens to us, because things happen to all of us. And I think once we have understood that, when we start really taking responsibility for, and also, of course, take responsibility for your stuff, every decision that you take has consequences. Depending on what you decide to do, the outcome could not be good, and you would be responsible for it. And what we tend to do is then find somebody to blame, and that doesn't solve the problem, because if you find somebody to blame, okay, maybe it makes you feel better. You find somebody to blame, but you can't change it. You give the power to somebody else. So understand that nobody's perfect. Take action. Be responsible. And then the very, very important thing, I believe, is consistency. Consistency. Don't give up. People give up far too quickly. You know, they say, oh, I tried once, or I tried twice, and it didn't work. And especially if you are maybe in a coaching profession, or you know, there are so many of us. There are so many of us. You need to find it takes a long time, but don't give up, because there is somebody who will need you.
Yes, absolutely. And you will find you will find your tribe, you will find the people that need you. One thing that is important to know is not everyone is for you. You have to niche down and say, this is my specialty, and then go for it. And it could take a long time, you know, to really build up. I like to be honest with everyone. It could take a while to build up your practice, but once you do, it's so rewarding. It is so rewarding, but it is not overnight success, and it takes a lot of sacrifice and commitment, like you said. So yeah,
and it's lonely. It's a lonely entrepreneurship is a very, very lonely road, and that's why it's good to become a member of something, whatever, you know, to have a support system.
Absolutely. Where can we find you online? I know that you have a book. I know that you're practicing hypnotherapy and other things.
So I have a book called The Soul Kit, and my website is called thesoulkit.com.
Okay.
And all my social media is my name, in my name. It's Elisabeth with an S, Villiger Dufexis. I think, I don't know if people will be able to see it, but what you can see it now is that it's there. I'm there. I'm like that on Instagram. I'm like that in Facebook, in LinkedIn. Everything is just my name.
Okay.
And my name I am originally from Switzerland. That's the Villiger part. And then the Dufexis, I am married in the Eastern Mediterranean on the island of Cyprus.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to chat with me. I appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And anytime. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.